Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome to another Mortal Kombat video. Now, today I'm very proud to bring you all my review of the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie, a film that understandably many of us have been quite eager about. Now, with that said, I do want to point out at the very start of this video that there will be two different halves. The first, being this one, will be a completely spoiler-free review, whilst its other counterpart that I will be releasing soon will be where I can really dive into the nitty-gritty parts of the film and kinda let loose on things I liked in the film and things that I didn't enjoy. Now, with that said, what did I think of Mortal Kombat 2021? Well, after watching it roughly 2 times, I can firmly say that as a Mortal Kombat fan, it's pretty damn solid. I mean, the spectacle alone of a Mortal Kombat movie is something many of us have been yearning for, as we haven't had one since 1995, I think. But how exactly does it hang up in the greater scheme of things? Well, in short, the entire film is a thrilling, engaging, humorous, and action-packed ride from start to finish. It has very well done martial arts choreography, incredible set pieces, and great acting all around the board. But that's not to say that the film is flawless. There are a few crinkles in this well-knitted reboot and reinterpretation that I can see rubbing people the wrong way. But we will be going into that during the later half of this review, because I want to look at this thing as an entire product instead of picking it apart, as I feel like that can be saved for the spoiler section. So first, let's start talking about the presentation. What I mean by presentation is the location of shots, color palette that has been applied to the film, and of course, most importantly, costume design. Now, visually, the film is a visual orgasm. Holy shit. Like, the shot locations in this film are simply breathtaking and are really something unique. The open shots and terrain they actually took in Australia seem kind of alien and barren in nature. It really does capture your imagination, and I really appreciate them going out here to create something that does look like a bit of a Mortal Kombat arena. It's really cool. Of course, it's not all barren open land. There are some shots of modern day civilization, and these are done incredibly well. The opening sequence to the film, where we're first introduced to Cole, is beautifully lit, framed, and angled. So in terms of shot composition, this film looks very pretty. It's very well done. What I really liked about this film as well is as we go from set piece to set piece, they do apply a different color palette to every different arena, meaning that it can emphasize certain aspects of it. A perfect example is the fight sequence we do see in the trailer between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It takes on a very light blue tone that works in contrast with the color schemes of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, meaning that there's more of a visual emphasis of what's going on screen, and it doesn't look like an awful mesh of colors. It's really well done in that respect. And since we're talking about color, a really nice use of it as well is the visual references we do have in the film. What I mean by this is that Sonya's ring blast are this neon violet purpley pink, and Cabal's Nomad Dash is purple. It's really nice bits of attention to detail here that are super duper charming, and it goes to show that they care even for the smallest thing possible. It's such a nice treat as a longtime Mortal Kombat fan, because these are things that are typically overlooked. Now let's hop over to costume design, and I got to say, some of these costume designs are really good. The costumes that really stood out to me in this film were the ninjas, Shang Tsung, Cabal, and of course Kung Lao. Like, they look really good. I really enjoyed what was going on here. Overall, really solid across the board. Now, visuals aside, what about the story? Well, in terms of story, it's pretty good, but it is a bit of a mixed bag. Now, the reason why I say this is because there are some cliches used here and there, and it makes how the story unfolds kind of predictable. I think that may also be because they gave nearly everything away in the trailer, but I think if you've seen the trailer enough, you probably know what's gonna happen here. Now, I will say that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because they've clearly played it very safe in that respect, creating films that new fans and old fans can enjoy. So it doesn't bother me too much, as they are trying to cater to both audiences here, but again, predictability can kind of break the momentum of my immersion. The first few 30 minutes moments are a little bit jarring just because there's a lot of stuff that's thrown at you, but it's designed to build the world, break it down a little, and set the tone for the rest of it. The first few sequences does feel like it's going from set piece to set piece, but this is paced very well with very good action. Unfortunately, the dialogue in between these scenes can make you feel a little bit lost at times, but I'm not gonna lie, that may be partially my fault, because I will point out, especially for you Mortal Kombat fans, there's a lot of Easter eggs in here, and I kept getting distracted. You're really gonna enjoy it if you love Easter egg hunting. Big props to the set design as well, because I kept picking up on things when I should have been watching the movie. Now, going into a little bit more of the trailer stuff we've seen, I really enjoyed the integration of the fall of the Shirai Ryu. You know, it's a tale as old as time itself if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, but it's still a very tragic part of the Mortal Kombat series, and it's definitely done justice here, especially with the likes of Sanada and Taslim playing the poster boys. I will say that the second act of this film is honestly where it really shines. There's a lot of very good character development and ways of getting into the heads of these interpretations of well-known characters. I like seeing these different versions and getting an idea of how they actually tick as people. Now, sometimes with fighting games we actually do forget that these characters have lives outside of fighting, and we really see that be put on display here. It's just nice seeing them as people. One of my favorite somewhat reinterpretations in this film definitely go to Liu Kang and Kung Lao. I won't say too much about it, but I really enjoyed Liu taking on a little bit more of a mentor role here, and Kung Lao being held at a rather high esteem amongst the fighters. You know, as a Mortal Kombat fan, this is something we've all kind of wanted to see for a while, as there's always been a very friendly rivalry between the two, but it's nice to see Lao be recognized for who he is, and prestigious bloodline that he does come from. It is very good and very refreshing. Now, I can't say too much from the second act onwards, as we will be going into spoiler territory, but I will say, the final 30 minutes of this film is an absolute blast. Really good action with a pretty rewarding payoff. And the last fight of this film, it's just so fucking good. It's so good. Like, as a Mortal Kombat fan or someone new to the series, I think you're gonna have an incredible time. And it does make me hope that in the future we may get a sequel, but nothing's set in stone, right? It still needs to be greenlit. Now, my next and final praise is the acting in this film. Jesus, everyone is so good. Everyone here has their own character and personality amongst the cast, and it really does allow the main line to stand out. I'm glad no one falls under the same archetype character-wise, and the actors just own their roles. It's honestly absolutely superb, and I really like what they did here. I also have to give big praise to the actor who played Kano. This guy just kills it in every scene he's in. Like, he owned his role as Kano and added some new flavor to him. I'm beyond surprised with how captivated I was with his portrayal of the character. He's definitely a pleasure to watch from scene to scene. Now, the other actor I really have to praise here, because his acting is just so good, and he does pretty much steal the show, is Joe Taslim. Sub-Zero. He's a shining star here from start to finish. This dude embodies a cold-blooded, heartless killer, and he does it flawlessly. You get a great idea of his ruthless nature the second you lay eyes on him. As a fan of his work, I think that this is some of the best stuff he has done to date. Now, with this all said and done, we do have to come away and talk about some of the cons. This film isn't flawless, and I definitely feel it's going to vary from person to person. Obviously, a big problem for me right out the gate was the somewhat predictable nature surrounding Cole. Now, I actually don't mind Cole too much, and I do like Lewis Tan, but Cole is literally playing the fish out of water character down to a T, and if you're familiar with the hero's journey, you can probably tell how things are going to unfold. If you aren't familiar with it, on the other hand, I can see you 110% having a blast with this film, especially if it's the first time you're being exposed to Mortal Kombat. But for me, the call to adventure is a bit of a trope that has been overused over the decades. Examples of this are Luke Skywalker, Frodo Baggins, and Peter Parker. Again, it's not a terrible bit of criticism, but if you're familiar with the trope, you get kind of an idea of how things pan out. Now, obviously, a big red flag for fans was the inclusion of Cole in this film. Whilst I know many people aren't that interested in Cole, he's not that bad of a character. He's kind of bland in comparison to the rest of the cast, especially when, you know, we have vampires, monsters, and demons from hell, but he's definitely a character you can kind of end up getting behind and enjoy for the most part. He's definitely not terrible by any means, and my view viewing experience wasn't ruined by his inclusion. But I will say, if you're already going into this not liking him, you've already tainted your viewing experience, and you're probably not going to enjoy him or the sections that he's a part of. But for me, it didn't bother me too much. I find that after so many Mortal Kombat games, and just how malleable the universe is, with new characters being put in every single game, one single new character doesn't really faze me, especially with the alterations and retcons the series has seen in the last few years. It doesn't badger me too much. Now, an issue I do have with the film is actually the clarity of the tournament. The rules aren't really laid out properly at any point in time, so there were certain points of the film I did feel kind of blindsided in that made me kind of go, what's going on? Should this be happening? Is this allowed? Maybe it's my inner Mortal Kombat fan, but there were certain points where it was just very sudden, especially if you're familiar with the rules of Mortal Kombat. Now, my next bit of criticism is the utilization of characters. Like, it's an all-star lineup and everyone does have their little moment, which is really nice, but it kind of does feel underwhelming in some instances. Like, they could have done a teeny tiny bit more with certain characters. Nothing too crazy, but there are definitely some characters that are left underdeveloped that really could have done with a little more screen time. But I know this film may end up being a one and done thing, so they purposely included all of these characters in, just in case we may never see them again on the big screen if a sequel isn't greenlit. So I do respect the inclusion, I just wish there was a bit more time with particular characters. Now that's really all the cons I can talk about here, and honestly the movie is pretty damn solid overall. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you're gonna have a great time. The action is really good, the actors do an incredible job of portraying their characters, there's a ton of Easter eggs, and a lot of fan service here. They incorporate special moves and bits from the game that, yeah, is fan servicey, but it also goes to show their keen eye for detail here. It's really nice and is very charming. Now, after years of waiting, as I have followed this film since about 2017 or 18, I can pretty happily say I had a satisfying viewing experience. Flawless? No, not quite. But there was nothing that broke my immersion or snapped me out of what I was watching. The film is very enjoyable, and it was only till a day later where I came to the realization of, holy shit, that was a video game film. That you could watch this film as a martial arts film and then completely forget the fact that it's based off a video game. I think there's enough fan service and tropes here that you will find something to love. Now, if I'm gonna rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, with 5 being a middle ground of, yeah, okay, give it a watch, I'd say this is a strong 7.5, and I'm not judging this as just a video game movie. I'm talking about movies overall, because I do feel like this film breaks the video game trope. This is an action movie through and through that is inspired by a video game and has enough Easter eggs and fan service to show its origins and complement what it's about. As both an action fan, a martial arts fan, and a Mortal Kombat fan, I think they do a pretty damn good job here. There's a lot of care and attention to detail that really feels very rewarding if you're familiar with the series. I had a pleasant time watching this film, and I'm really glad that we did get this. My only hope at this point is that we continue to keep this talented team together moving forward, and we get more installments. But right now, only time will tell. So if you really enjoy this film, please do your best to support it. I know right now times are quite hard with being able to go to the cinema, but if you want a sequel, please do go watch this movie and support it. It's definitely a fun ride, and I enjoyed it a lot. But yes, guys, that basically kind of wraps it up for my review of the movie. Of course, there will be a spoiler review that is going to come out very soon, so if you have seen it, you definitely want to stick around for that one, as I do go a bit more into detail about things I did enjoy and things I didn't particularly like. There's stuff I don't want to say here that I do want to leave for there. So anyway, with that said, guys, what did you think of the movie? Have you been able to watch it yet? If so, who was your favorite character? Please do comment down below, because I liked a lot of the actors and I liked a lot of characters and portrayals in this film. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the film, and I'll catch you all in the spoiler review coming out very soon. Now, before this video wraps up, guys, if possible, please do tick that bell, and let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's honestly a fantastic way of supporting the channel. But for now, guys, as always, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I will see you all next time.